Welcome to the Effortless English Show with the world's #1 English teacher, AJ Hogue, where AJ's more than 40 million students worldwide finally learn English once and for all, without the boring textbooks, classrooms, and grammar drills. Here's AJ with a quick piece to help you learn to speak fluent English effortlessly.
I'm AJ Hogue, the author of Effortless English, Learn to Speak English Like a Native. And I'm the father of the Effortless English system that trains you, that teaches you. You speak English fluently. You speak English powerfully. You speak English confidently. You speak English effortlessly. When you join, when you commit to my VIP program at effortlessenglishclub.com, effortlessenglishclub.com. Go there, join, and commit to my VIP program, and you will speak English powerfully, fluently, effortlessly. Also, VIP members get the recordings, an extra now. Of course, you get new lessons every month. I train you to speak fluently and powerfully. And also now, VIP members, you will get the recordings. You will get the movie club lessons. Our current movie, The Matrix, and then future movies also. It's another reason to join, another reason to commit to my VIP program. Go now to effortlessenglishclub.com, effortlessenglishclub.com. We are live today, Chapter 6 of Brave New World. Today's our book club. Book club, Chapter 6 of Brave New World. The story now, we're really getting into the story. You know, really up to now, there has not been much story. Right? Not much has happened in terms of like a plot, like a normal book, right? Where you have characters and they do things and there's a conflict and problems. Not so much. Mostly chapter 1 through 5 introduced us to the world of Brave New World. And of course, the purpose, Aldous Huxley's purpose, is to show us the plans for the world, of course, of the world controllers, to show us their plans. Those plans are now real. We also met the main characters. Well, finally, they're going to do something in this chapter. They're finally doing something. And in fact, the real story, the real plot, P-L-O-T, means a story in a book or a movie, the plot. Well, the plot is really finally beginning, in this chapter. We are live on Facebook. Sorry, I started late because I was on the wrong Facebook page. I actually started the show on my personal webpage, my personal Facebook page. Only one person was watching. I thought something's wrong, and I realized I'm on the wrong channel. Now we're on the Effortless English Facebook. We're at the right place. So let's start. I just want to say a quick hello because, of course, we're live again, and I especially enjoy doing the book club and the movie club live. I really enjoy doing these two shows live every week because I think it's in these two shows, the movie and the book club, where you all, Effortless English family, you really have some great questions, and you also have just some great ideas, great suggestions. You kind of see different meanings than I do sometimes, or you see my messages, my ideas, and you make them deeper or better. It's just an interesting discussion. It makes it a lot of fun. It just shows how intelligent and interesting our Effortless English family is, because we really just have such great, wonderful people. So I just want to thank all of you, and especially those of you who join regularly, who I'm always saying your names all the time, and we'll see your same names again soon. But let's just jump in, because I've got to move forward quickly. I've got babies. My wife needs to sleep. She's had some difficult nights, the last few nights, not much sleep. So I need to go quickly through the show so I can help her with the babies. She can go to bed and give her some extra sleep tonight. Okay, so let's jump in, and then I'll come to your comments and questions. I see everybody. I see all our regulars. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Don't worry, we're going to be back, and we're going to have lots of discussion. So I want to quickly go through the 3 parts of this chapter, because we're really starting to get into the story now. All right, let's just go. Let's do it. Jump right in. If you're watching on video, you can kind of see my Kindle reader. You can see my ebook. I've highlighted a few key points. Okay, so now what's happening? What's finally happens? Bernard, our main character, has a date finally with Lenina. Now remember, he he kind of is feeling something special for Lenina. Now, in this world, that's bad, right? Because this world, they got rid of love. They get rid of love. And the idea is everybody should have sex with everybody else. No emotion, no commitment, nothing like that. And indeed, of course, that's what our modern world now is pushing all the time in the media, in movies, in TV. Well, Bernard feels differently about her. And so they go on a date. Now, part one, they're planning the date. And part one is Lenina. Part one of this chapter is from Lenina, the woman's point of view. It's from her point of view. It's her thinking about the date with Bernard that's coming. And she's thinking about Bernard. So we get her viewpoint. Now, remember, Lenina is still very, 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 very blue-pilled. In fact, she always will be. Lenina's not going to wake up in this story. She has a few little things that are different. I think that's why Bernard likes her. But she's really never able to fully wake up. We'll see this through the story, that she will remain mostly blue-pilled. But Bernard is waking up quite quickly. So first, Lenina's thinking about Bernard, and she's thinking, he's so strange. He's a weird guy. He's strange. He's not like everybody else. It makes him interesting. And she's thinking, well, but he's weird. He's strange. He's not normal. Maybe I should cancel my date. But then she thinks, well, there's some other guy who wants to go on a date with her. Some other guy. But the problem is that the other guy's kind of boring, and he wants to do the same thing as always. But Bernard has an interesting idea. This is important for our plot. Bernard wants to take her to the Savage Reservation. The Savage Reservation, that's the date. What is this? A savage is like a wild man or woman, not civilized. And a reservation is a place, like a protected place. So now we have in America Indian reservations, right? The Native Americans. They have reservations. It's their own land, right? Supposedly, they have their own government there. Not really. Kind of. But they're not totally free in reality. But the idea is that they're totally free, that it's kind of a protected area for them. So the Savage Reservation, we realize now, we learn now, that in this world, they have a place where it's not Brave New World. It's just some tiny little place, right, with a big electric wall around it. And inside, people live the old way, the traditional way. So this is kind of a strange and interesting date. So she thinks, well, this is interesting. It's a new thing. She's just excited because it's new. Oops. All right, let me move this. So then she starts describing Bernard. She starts we're kind of just in her head. She's thinking about him. And she's thinking of how he's so weird. Why is he different? What's strange about Bernard? Number one, she thinks he likes to do things in private. He's a private person. He likes to have time alone, or maybe just with one person, like his friend Helmholtz or Lenina. So the first time they go on a date, they actually go on a date before the reservation. They do a normal date first. And on the normal date, he does not want to go around a lot of people. Bernard does not like crowds. Bernard does not like being around a lot of people. He likes quiet time alone or with just like one or two people. And in Brave New World, this is very strange. Lenina thinks this is weird. It's strange. And she's kind of arguing with him, like, why do you want to do things privately? Why? That's not good. And then he says, like, she asks, what do you want to do? And he wants to go for a walk. This is his idea for a date. Go for a walk and talk. He wants to just go walk in nature with her and talk to her. That's all. And she thinks this is super strange. She says, oh, what's wrong with you? Here, take some soma, take some drugs. Maybe you're in a bad mood, right? because they don't like being alone. They don't like quiet. They don't like being alone because then they might think. It makes them feel uncomfortable. So they always want to be around a lot of people, always distracted by activities. The other thing is, in walking in nature, they're not spending any money. They're not spending money. They're not doing anything social. Just, it's too much. Next, another example. They're in their little flying car. They're in the flying car. And they're flying over the ocean. And Bernard, he stops over the ocean, right? They're flying. And he's just, it's night. And he's looking at the ocean at night. And the waves are kind of big and it's very dark. And she becomes very uncomfortable because it's quiet, and this kind of nature like this, the kind of power of nature scares her. It makes her feel very uncomfortable. This dark ocean that's, with the big waves, and they're flying just on top of it. They're just over it. But he thinks it's beautiful. He thinks it's very beautiful. He says, I want to look at the sea. I want to look at the ocean peacefully. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel like there's something more to life. But what does she do? She's uncomfortable. She immediately turns on the radio. She turns the radio on to play some loud music. But he gets angry and he turns the radio back off. He turns it off. He says, I want to look at the ocean in peace. I hate that noise. I don't want to hear that noise, the music. So now this section I found very interesting because I know people like this. I have had friends like this, that they can never have quiet. They are so uncomfortable with quiet. So, for example, I have a friend. If we're driving, let's say maybe we're taking a trip. We're driving 2 hours somewhere. And I'm driving the car and we start driving and it's just quiet. We talk a while and then maybe, we stop talking and the car is just very, very quiet. And I love that. I enjoy it. Maybe I'm thinking, or sometimes I'm just looking out. I'm looking at the road. I'm looking at the trees. And this friend always has to turn on the radio. Always, always, always. He cannot take it. Right? He's very uncomfortable with quiet. Even at home, always the TV must be on or the radio must be on. So again, this reminds me of Brave New World. It's exactly what Lenina does. So we have people like this now. Why do people not like quiet? Because then they start to think, and the thinking makes them uncomfortable. Maybe they might start thinking about their life. Maybe they remember some problems they have. Maybe they notice some emotions, and they don't want to. They want to be distracted all the time by noise and media and phones and music and movies. Always distracted. Then they're having an argument, and he's criticizing Brave New World. Bernard says, what if we could be free? What if we could be free? I want to be free. Not just free to do what I was taught, but free to make another choice. Free to try something new. And then he says, Lenina, don't you want to be free? And she can't even understand it. She says, I am free. I'm free to have a good time always. Everybody's happy now. And his answer, he says, but don't you want to be free to try to be happy in a different way? Don't you want to be free to choose a different kind of happiness? Not just feeling physically good, not just sex, not just distraction and games, but maybe there's another kind of happiness, maybe a deeper happiness. Don't you want that freedom? But she does not. She can't even understand it. She's so programmed, she just cannot even understand the idea of this kind of freedom. So you can already see he's much more awake already. Bernard is thinking some very red pill thoughts now. But she's still totally blue pilled. And so then what's her answer? What's her answer? Because she's getting very uncomfortable with Bernard's ideas and his questions. So she says, here, take some drugs. Here, take some of the soma. Take some drugs. You're in a bad mood, right? Her reaction immediately to feeling uncomfortable, to something different, is take drugs and forget. And again, we know in this world now, a lot of people also do this. They get uncomfortable. They have a problem. They have uncomfortable thoughts. And immediately, what? They want to take a drink, take drugs, turn on a radio. Just forget it. Don't think. Forget. Then they actually go and they have sex on the first night. He does take drugs finally. He finally does it. She keeps bugging him. He's getting unhappy. He realizes he's making her unhappy, so he says, okay, fine. He takes the soma, just feels good. And because of that, he's not really thinking, and so they have sex. And of course, in this world, it's normal, right? First date, have sex. This is totally normal. Again, in our world, how many people have sex now? One date. We call it one night stand. How many people go to a bar, meet a girl or a boy or a man or a woman, and have sex the same night, and then maybe never see them again? Well, it's not an accident. Brave New World. It's programming. It's, they have created this world. That's what happens. But he feels bad the next day. Now she's totally fine because it's normal. But he feels bad. He feels bad because he likes her. And he says, he's like, I'm sorry. I didn't want to do that on the first day, the first date. She can't understand it. And then he realizes, she says, don't you like me? Don't you think I'm really sexy? That's what pneumatic means, by the way. I finally figured out in this science fiction story, you see the word pneumatic to describe women. It just means they're good at sex. That's what it means in this story. That's not the normal meaning. It's a meaning just for this story. It's a kind of slang in this story, pneumatic, spelled with a silent P at the beginning. It just means really good at sex. So he says, yes, you're good at sex. But then in his mind, he's thinking, Lenina, she thinks of herself as meat. She only thinks she's good for sex. She doesn't respect herself for anything else, just sex. She's only good for sex, like meat. There's nothing deeper. There's no spirit. There's no virtue. There's nothing deeper. And that makes him unhappy. They continue their argument or discussion. And here's a very important point. I put it in orange on my screen here. I'm going to read the sentence. This is the key to Brave New World. It's it's probably actually a nice summary of their big strategy. This is their overall strategy to control people. So listen carefully. Adults, intellectually and during working hours. Infants, where feeling and desire are concerned. What does this mean? He's describing everybody in Brave New World. He's saying, we are adults intellectually. So they're still intelligent, especially the alphas, the high ones, right? So intellectually, they can do math. They understand technology. At their jobs, they're adults. They can make good decisions. They're very intelligent. So they can act like adults. They have discipline and control intellectually, right? But on the other side, with their feelings, with their emotions and their desires, they are like babies, infants. An infant is a small baby. With their desires, with their emotions, they are like tiny babies. They have zero control. They have zero self-discipline. They have zero wisdom. They have zero understanding. They have zero experience. They're like little babies emotionally. Anything they want, any desire they want immediately. They have no courage. They have no strength emotionally, right? They're babies. They have no ability to love. They have no ability to deal with strong emotions. Anytime they have a strong feeling, negative or positive, they just take drugs to forget it. So this is what they are doing, and this is what they're doing to us right now. They are creating, so the school system does this too. So yes, they teach you math and science, so intellectually, so you can do work at your job, you can be an adult, you can function at your job, but with relationships, with emotions, with your desires, with your addictions, you're like a little baby. You're controlled through your desires and your emotions. That's how they control you. That's how they control us. That's how they control everyone in Brave New World. Not intellectually, through intellectual arguments. Nothing, not that. Not by convincing you, not by persuading you with a good argument. No. By controlling you through your emotions and your desires, your pleasure desires. And then Bernard says, he's asking questions. What if we were adults all the time? What if we also were adults emotionally and with our desires? So you can see he's starting to wake up. He's starting to think of a different way to live. And that's part one. Part two. Part two. Okay, in part two. Nope, I just dropped. 1 second. Are we back? Okay, we're back. Sorry, the stream dropped. Okay, so in part two next, Bernard's planning for the big date to the reservation, but he needs permission. Everybody cannot go to this reservation. They're not allowed to go, everybody, right? So it's like a special thing to go to the savage reservation. Oh, for some reason my internet's dropping a lot now. Huh. Is Facebook starting to ban us now? Are they playing games with us now? Perhaps. Maybe. I'm looking forward to Gab getting video. All right, I'm just waiting because right now we are live, and unfortunately, it seems like the stream is having problems. So I'm just waiting to show that my connection's doing okay, and then we'll come back. We'll talk about part two. Tell you what, I'm just going to keep going. Part two. Part two, he goes to see the boss. The director is his boss, and he needs the director. The director must agree. He must give permission. He has to sign something. So he talks to the director, and the director says, "Where are you going? Where are you going?" And Bernard says, "We're going to the reservation. We're going to go to the savage reservation." And he's surprised. The director's surprised. And he kind of starts to remember something and starts talking to himself, the director. And he says, 20 years ago. 20 years ago. So something happened to the director 20 years ago. Yeah, we got a bad connection. I see that people are saying bad connection, unfortunately. All right, guys, I might need to stop and then start again. I'm going to do that. Let's see if I can do it. All right. Yes, let me see if I can get this to... All right. How we doing? Are we looking good now? It looks like, we may be back. All right, good. All right, 1 second. Let me just see. Let's take a look, see how we doing. I apologize for the short delay here. We've got people. Okay now, says Dean. Okay, good. Let's keep going. So Bernard goes to the director. Bernard goes to the director and he says, "I want to go to the reservation on a date. I need your permission. I need your permission." So he goes. The director starts talking about 20 years ago. The director went to the reservation. The director is his boss, Bernard's boss. So 20 years ago, Bernard's boss went to the reservation. He went on a date also with a girl. And the girl got lost. The girl got lost. They're walking around this reservation, and the girl got lost, and she disappeared. They never found her. They never found her. I think Facebook's trying to disturb us. Yes, I think so. So, he realizes that, oh, wow, there's something that, something happened to the director, his boss, 25 years ago, something like that. And it's kind of weird, right? Then the director realizes, oh my God, I've been talking about my personal life. This is not good. So the director gets mad, and then the director says to Bernard, I don't like your behavior. I don't like your behavior. And he tells Bernard that Bernard needs to act more infantile. Bernard needs to act more infantile. What does that mean? He needs to act more like a baby. So he's telling him directly, you need to act more like a baby. You need to be more childish emotionally. You're too serious. You're too much like an adult. You should stop doing that. That's not good. He says, it's your duty. It's your duty to be infantile. It's your duty to act like a child emotionally. Then he threatens Bernard. He says to Bernard, if you don't change, if you don't improve, if you don't act more like a child emotionally, then I'm going to send you to Iceland. So this is a threat. Send you to Iceland. Send you to Iceland. So I guess Iceland in this story, in this world, Iceland is like a bad place. It's a place people don't want to live. All right, let's keep going. Finally, part 3 of this chapter, the last part. They go on the date. So they fly to New Mexico. That's in the United States. That's where the reservation is. And during this time, Lenina constantly repeats her programming. So she's constantly saying sentences. For example, she says, progress is lovely. Progress is lovely. And every time Lenina repeats some programming sentence, Bernard gets annoyed. He says 500 repetitions once a week. So in other words, Bernard knows why she's saying this. She's repeating these phrases. She's repeating these beliefs. But Bernard knows it's just programming. He knows that since a baby, they've just been repeating these sentences in her head all the time. So he knows it's not really her own thoughts. It's just the programming. So they go to the office of the reservation and they meet the warden. He's the boss of the reservation. And the warden says, no one can escape. They have an electric fence around it. And then he describes it. He says, inside the reservation, the children are born. They're born. They don't grow them in a office or a laboratory. They come from their mom. And he says they're savages. They're not civilized. They have marriage. They still get married inside the reservation. They still have families. They have no conditioning, no programming inside. They still have Christianity. They still believe in God. They speak languages like Spanish and other languages. And they have wild animals. So he's describing all this to make the reservation sound scary. Oh my God, it's so horrible. Then Bernard has a phone call with Helmholtz, his friend, and his friend Helmholtz tells him, the director doesn't like you, and he is planning to send you to Iceland. And then there's kind of an interesting part where Bernard, when he realizes, oh my God, it's real, maybe I will be sent to Iceland. Right? Iceland is maybe kind of a more wild place, a more isolated place in Brave New World. He realizes that on one hand, he's scared about it. He's really upset. But on the other hand, something inside him wants something bad to happen. something inside him imagines having a really difficult challenge and having to fight and survive a difficult challenge. There's some part of him that wants this. And see, this is interesting because this is human nature, that we need difficulty. We need challenges. If life is always pleasurable and distracting, then we have no meaning in our life. We can't get stronger. We can't get better. We don't get wisdom. We actually need some difficulties and challenges. And he's kind of feeling this, but he's also scared. Next, they go into the reservation, and they go to there's like a little hotel inside there. So they're just starting their date. And the guy says at the hotel, don't worry, the savages, the wild people here, they won't hurt you. They won't hurt you because we've already killed a lot of them. Anytime if they do something bad, we kill them. So now they're afraid of us. And that's the end of this chapter. And I'm sorry for the connection problems. I know we had connections problems live. But we can always watch. You can watch the recording. The recording will be up on YouTube and on my blog and on the podcast. Okay, so just a quick review in case any of you missed it. So number 1, we have Lenina and Bernard arguing in part 1, where Lenina's saying he's so strange. He likes to be in private. She wants distraction. She can't handle silence. She can't handle being alone. Number 2, he goes to his office, his boss, the director. He needs permission to go to the reservation. And the boss talks about his visit 20 years ago to the reservation. And he had a girl, and the girl got lost there, and they never found her. This is important because we'll see soon why. And then part 3, they arrive at the reservation. And the reservation, the people on the reservation, they live the old way. They get married, they have children, they have families, they believe in God, all of these things. All right, let's go live now. Let's go live to our discussion. Yeah, like Fernando says, this reminds me one day I dated a girl. In my mind, I reacted like a respectable man, but this girl didn't like it. Didn't like my behavior. She wanted to have sex the same day. Indeed, there are many people like this now. They're like Lenina, just like Lenina, and they want empty sex. They're addicted to pleasure, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, right? Sex, drugs, drinking, party. They just want physical pleasure. Anything deeper actually makes them uncomfortable, scares them. And these people become very unhappy, especially when they get older. They may seem like they're having lots of fun for a while, but eventually their life becomes empty. And they have no self-respect. They don't think. They have no virtue. And they are pretty sad people. Okay, let's see. Unfortunately, like Mikhail says, unfortunately, most people will always be blue-pilled like Lenina. Our goal is to try to wake them up like you did with us. Yes, most people will. Most people are followers, guys. Most people just do what they're told, do what they're taught, and they don't think. Most people don't think. Now, I think in the past, more people did, but still probably a minority. So the really battle is the people who do think. It's the people who are the leaders, who are leading the society, leading the culture. Right now, our leaders, the world controllers, are evil, evil people. We need good people who are red-pilled and who will teach the rest of everybody else truth and goodness and beauty. Yeah, like Marek has an interesting point. Bernard and Lenina don't fit together. Why do people often choose inappropriate life partners, even though intuition tells them this is the wrong choice? They also see they do not have much in common. but they're still trying to create this relationship. They convince themselves and others that it makes sense. Yes, right. Well, because people react just emotionally through attraction, and they don't think more deeply about it. They don't think long term. So, quite famously, men, will react to just, oh, this girl's hot, she's hot, and they just focus on that. Or maybe a woman, oh, this guy's so cool, he's so confident, and they don't think beyond that. And in the past, maybe this is one of the benefits of more traditional marriages in the past, where the parents would help to guide them to make better decisions, because the parents would understand that there are more important things than just attraction. Attraction's important, but you need more. Like Mikhail says again, today people can't stand total quiet. They feel so uncomfortable. They're wired to constantly get a lot of noise all the time. Absolutely, yes. This is why, like if I'm on a train, I look around. I won't take my phone out and read it. I'll just look around at the people. But almost everybody else is on their phone, right? Or like I've mentioned before, people who constantly have to have music on or constantly need the TV. Yes, that's right. Nasser says, Lenina is so brainwashed, just like most people who are trying to bring us their way of thinking. Bernard is an independent thinker. Because of that, Lenina sees him as a strange person. This type of attitude is very common today. Bad friends and partners are surrounding us. Yes, that's right. So it's exactly true today. If you wake up, as you become red-pilled, as you become independent, as you think more deeply, other people will think you are weird. Other people will think you're different. They'll say, well, why are you doing this? They won't understand. It's quite common. Quite common. Maybe you've already experienced this. Slavika says, Bernard and Lenina on the reservation for the first time are meeting normal human beings. It's very strange for them. But the human beings will be changing them. Yeah, we'll see this. Yeah, like Zobade says, this chapter is complicated. We see lots of examples in real life. We can think of them psychologically, socially, and personally. Yeah, different levels. Like Tata says, we definitely grow through challenges. I feel uncomfortable when I don't do something for self-development. I'm happy I didn't lose this natural alarm against laziness and degradation. Now my challenges are the French language and marketing. Yes, I'm the same. I need challenges. We need them. It's healthy to have challenges. It's great to choose your own too. But if you don't choose your own, life will often give them to you. I think I might have missed one up here. Oh, yeah, Motion says. Motion, some countries, the world controllers call them underdevelopment or reservations in our days. Usually people in this country still have their own beliefs and traditions. They live simply and healthily without some of the new world stuff like the internet. Yeah, indeed, we have like these bad words, like it used to be third world. Don't usually use that word anymore. But yeah, there's still almost none. But there are a few areas in the world now that live more traditional life. In America, for example, we have the Amish. And the Amish, they don't use electricity. They don't have cell phones and all that stuff. And people think, oh, they're savages. What's wrong with them? And yet they have big, healthy families, mostly. They actually seem much happier. Motion says, what if you teach virtues, knowledge, and good things by repeating it from childhood? Is it wrong? Is it brainwashing? The difference is that with, if you want to be good and follow like the virtue path, that you also have to teach them why and you make them think. You teach the children how to think, how to analyze, how to think deeply, how to find answers themselves. So yes, you have to teach in the beginning by repetition. There's a certain amount of this that is necessary. All animals do this, not just humans. But then, I don't know, around 7 or 8, some age around there, age 7, age 8, then you start to train them to really think more deeply, to have emotional control. So then they learn how to think independently and find answers themselves. And that's, you're training them to be true adults. But yeah, there's a certain amount of that that's necessary. Shrok says, most people take the easy way to live, meaning following everybody else. And the fear is to make them stuck. That's right. They're stuck because of fear. Right. Michelle says, in this book, community spirit is pushed to the extreme. It's denying individuality. That's right. They become just like machines. Like the Matrix, actually. Very similar to the Matrix, actually, when I think about it. Yeah, like Jamal says, social life becomes difficult because everybody thinks only to his benefit. Well, this is the opposite extreme. That has also happened sometimes. Sam FN says, interesting chapter. I love it until I forget that I'm here to learn English. I'm so happy, maybe because I saw myself in Bernard, like the same personality. Thank you. You're welcome. Going to go back a little bit. I might have missed some comments because of the connection. Oh, is Soma an imaginary drug, or does it really exist in our planets? Asks Suna. It's an imaginary drug in the story. It's similar to some drugs that exist now. It's kind of like a combination of some drugs now. I'd say it sounds to me kind of similar to ecstasy and LSD and something like that kind of combined together. Is it good or not for one night stand? It's not good, man. It'll destroy your life eventually. Make you empty inside, destroy your ability to love. Don't do it. Yeah. Vladislav with another red pill. Lenina does not want to date a normal guy because he's boring, but she wants to date Bernard because he's special. But on the other hand, she tries to make him normal. Right. Women trying to change men. They date a man because he's interesting, then they try to change him to make him boring. This idea is described in the Rational Male books as well. Yes, it is. Men, read those books. Women try to make us normal, but they don't want to date us when we are normal. Exactly, and that's why you have to be the leader in a relationship and never let a woman make you normal. You can never do this. If a woman tries to make you normal, then you stop her quite forcefully. I don't mean physically forcefully, but I mean you make it very strong and clear that you're not going to let her change you, that you're not going to let her treat you like a child, that she is not your mom. Okay, too many guys now, they're too weak with women when they're dating them. Fernando asks, is there a movie about Brave New World? There is. I think it's Slavika. Was it Slavika? Or Lisa? I can't remember. Somebody's watching it. They suggested it. I have not seen the movie. for Brave New World. I don't know if it's good or bad. I think it's a bit old, but there is a movie. Somebody made a movie. Fernanda says, we can use technology for good, wisdom, and healthy life. We don't have to live a part of this stuff. We have to know how to use this for goodness. Balance is the key. And self-discipline, right? Control, like what Bernard's saying. What Bernard's starting to realize is that emotional self-control, control of your desires, control of your emotions, right? Self-discipline. He's realizing they're just like babies because they have no self-control at all. They can't handle emotions at all. They're like little baby children, and they just take drugs or distract themselves. So, right, it's the same with with the technology. We have to use it with self-control so that we are the masters. We're choosing how we use it, when we use it, why we use it. Not just like babies and children. I'm distracted. I'm a zombie, right? Very important. Lisa says, sometimes we get someone in our lives that we don't match, but we have something to do with them or learn from them. This is true. And matching doesn't mean you're a perfect match. You want a complement. The idea is to complement each other. Your values should match, your virtues. These important things should match. But then also personalities often have differences. Like my wife and I have quite different personalities in some ways, but we balance each other. Like I'm not patient. She's very patient, things like that. Is it possible Bernard's task is to awaken Lenina? Maybe. He's going to fail, but maybe. Yeah, like motion is a good point. Unfortunately, the more we go forward through the chapters, the more we realize how similar our world is to Brave New World. Yeah, that's why I say we are living in Brave New World now. This was written 80 years ago. It's actually amazing how accurate this is, how close it is. And the reason is that the writer Aldous Huxley knew the plans. He knew the plans of the world controllers, and they have mostly succeeded. So he wasn't he didn't have magic powers. He just knew. He knew the plan, and now the plan has worked. Slavika. Yeah, Slavika says, I was watching the movie Brave New World. It's almost like the book. So yeah, check it out, guys. See if you can find it. Oh, let's see. Avrojit says, how does Henry Foster compare to Bernard? So Henry Foster's like is a normal guy in Brave New World. Not normal for us, but Lenina, the other guy that she was dating before, he's just a normal guy. He's like everybody else in Brave New World. So Bernard's very different. Bernard is an individual. Bernard's waking up. Bernard wants to have a challenge in his life. Bernard realizes that, emotionally, they're just like children, like little babies. Henry doesn't see any of this. Henry just follows the programming completely. So this is why they're so different. Henry's a minor character. He's not important, really. Not so important. Why did the author call it Brave New World? I imagine that's what the world controllers, they think it's going to be a great new world. Brave here meaning, a great new world. Because, of course, for the world controllers, it is a great new world. They have total control. They have all the wealth, all the money, all the control. Nobody can even imagine going against them. Nobody is free. Only the world controllers are free to choose and do what they want. we'll see that a little later in the book too. That we'll meet one of Mustafa, one of the world controllers, and we'll see that he's actually very much an individual. He doesn't totally live like Brave New World. The programming is for everybody else, not for the world controllers. They have freedom. Zobede says, the other day I talked to a red-pilled guy. I found him weird. He was really virtuous. He was the first positive man I had talked to. I was the blue-pilled one there. There should be solutions somewhere. Well, good. So be inspired. It's nice when you meet. I am always so happy when I almost never meet in person, face-to-face, but I'm always very happy when I find someone, maybe online or some book, by someone who's more red-pilled than I am, because they help me wake up even more. So I get very excited. I very much respect these people, and I'm eager to learn from them. I'm eager to, even as I don't always agree with everything they say, but I respect them, and I'm very excited to hear their ideas and to think about their ideas. So you should be very happy when you meet someone who seems red-pilled, even if they seem weird. They might seem weird to you, but open your mind and at least consider and be inspired. Yeah, like Nasser says, this is a common thing too. Brave New World again. What do you think about people who are middle-aged, so like 40, 50 years old, and they still act like teenagers? Is it normal? It's becoming normal, but it's sad. It's sad. This is, again, remember, emotionally like infants. Now, I think we all admire people who are 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, who are youthful, who are energetic, they have an open mind. That's not what we're talking about. Acting like teenagers means emotionally. It's exactly what this chapter's talking about. There are large numbers of people now who are, the baby boomers, my parents' generation in America. So many of them are so childish emotionally. And it's kind of sad, kind of pathetic is the word I would use. Very sad to see somebody who's 70 years old, but emotionally they still act like a teenager. It's like they never learned anything. They never learned any emotional control. They never learned any wisdom. They just trying to constantly act like, and try to appear like a kid still. Like they just so afraid of growing older, and they still want to be cool. That's like the main thing, right? They still try to be cool. It's sad. It's just so sad because it's just like Brave New World. Like what Bernard was saying. They never grew up emotionally. Now they in their jobs, mentally, their intelligence is very adult and fine, but the emotions, like their desires, they still can't control their desires. They still act like children emotionally, and it's sad. And you see lots of people, not only middle age, even older than that. It's becoming more common. Yeah, brave means courageous, Motion. That's correct. And those of you who are, I'm ignoring comments about English today because we're talking about Brave New World. Fernando says, do you believe that our mind can lead us to have a better future? That's where it's absolutely yes. It starts in our mind. I believe Buddhists and Sanatana Dharmis are correct about this, that it all begins in your mind. even your physical body, your physical health. It starts in your mind because you have the idea of, or the vision, or the inspiration, or the motivation to be healthy, to build your body stronger. So it starts in the mind. And then with your mind, you have the discipline then to exercise, to fast, to eat healthier food. So through your mind, you can completely change your body. And of course, through your mind, you can and will change your whole life. So yes, mental freedom is the big one. That's why Brave New World, they program their brains, right? They're not controlling them physically. They're not attacking them physically. They don't hit them and beat them to make them obey. They don't need to. They don't need to because they control their minds. If the mind is, in prison, if the mind is controlled, then everything else is controlled. If the mind is free, everything else is free. So yes, absolutely, free your mind. Just like the Bob Marley song, Indo. Hey, Indo. And Indo, I'll respond to you. I got your message. And I'd like to meet you in Osaka. Yes. Maybe a coffee. I think afternoon, a coffee would be the best thing for us to meet. But I'll respond directly to you on Gab. Indo says, I've been thinking Brave New World sounds like Slave New World. Indeed. Indeed. That's the real meaning. Mikhail says, many times I tried to speak about Brave New World with my coworkers. Almost always they have looked at me with this weird look on their face. I think they thought something like, this guy is weird. What is he talking about? Just like Lenina. See, now when this happens in your life, you can remember Lenina, right? Bernard's trying to red pill her, but Lenina just can't see it. She looks at him like he's crazy. So all of us have this feeling, maybe, sometimes. Abraham Ali says, we meet people, make friends by sharing something with them, like sports or something. But red pill people found themselves alone, different from other people, because they are the only ones seeing the truth. They'll always be at the top 1%. Yeah, indeed, it can make you feel alone. It's one of the stages, one of the steps you might go through as you become red-pilled is a feeling isolated and alone. I went through this myself for a while, many years, where I just thought, I'm so different than everybody else that I meet, especially back in the United States. I'm traveling around the world. I'm living in my car. I'm reading books. I don't have TV, all these things. Then I start my own business. And, but then, eventually you'll figure out how to deal with the blue pill people. And you deal with them on their level. So you kind of learn that you can't red pill everybody, and you'll make yourself quite unhappy trying to do that. You red pill the ones that have potential, the ones who are more open, the ones who are ready. The others just do small talk. Actually, sometimes I'll follow sports, for example, professional sports, and I'll just talk about sports with, if I meet people in America, just somebody, on the bus or something. And, it's just a topic I can talk about. It's a blue pill topic. And, it kind of makes a little social connection. It's a nice little social thing, but I'm not trying to red pill them, I'm not trying to talk about some deep, heavy topic with them. You have to choose. We'll see this in The Matrix. Morpheus says the same thing to Neo in The Matrix. He says most people are not ready to wake up yet. So we help the ones we can. And so you got to learn that. You got to learn who can you help and who can you not. Yeah, interesting. Slavika's talking about the movie. In the movie, they have a lot of screens. They use something like a mobile phone. Everybody's beautiful and young, like teenagers, except the director. But it's a movie, and the book is a book. Yeah, I'm curious. I'll get it. I want to see the movie. I'm curious. Yeah, the world controller's not that way, right? Isn't that interesting that the programming, the rules, the control, the people at the top, they don't do that. They don't do that to their own children. They do it to all of us, but they don't do it to their own children. It's quite interesting. If you sometimes do some research into some of these, the super rich and powerful, again, like the Rothschild family, you find they don't go to public schools. They don't do most of the things we do to their children. Their children are raised very differently. Their children are educated very differently. Interesting. Yes, tomorrow, Mikhail says, Neo will have to choose the red pill or the blue pill. We'll have that scene tomorrow in the movie. One of the most famous scenes of the movie. The red pill and the blue pill. It's where we get this slang. It's from The Matrix. And we'll see that scene tomorrow, yes. Yes, Sagvan, going back to being red-pilled. All the way back to Aristotle. Aristotle said, know yourself by yourself. I think if any one of us does what he said, it means we're going to be free. And knowing the self means deep thinking. Deep thinking means using your mind. Using your mind means your own self. This is exactly right, and that's exactly right. This is how you do it. You have to know yourself deeply. This is what Acharyaji was talking about. The great rishis and gurus and Buddhas, and they gave the same exact message as Aristotle. That, through knowing yourself, you begin to know the world. And it takes time. It takes time. It takes effort. Abraham Ali, how do we help blue-pilled people see the truth and become red-pilled? We have to be like Morpheus. I mean, this is what I'm doing. That's why I do these shows. You have to, you do your best. And it depends on the person. Some people, maybe you just do little things. You have to kind of, don't hit them with everything at once. A lot of people cannot handle all of this suddenly. So you give them a little bit. For men, young men, dating is often a very good one. This is another reason I recommend the Rational Male books. Rational Male. Because young men are totally brainwashed. Women too. Young girls are brainwashed too. But especially young men are completely brainwashed about dating and marriage and women. And they have no idea the truth. They're told complete lies. Every Hollywood movie, every romance is a complete and total lie, the complete opposite of the truth. And so you have a lot of young men who are super unhappy and super frustrated with girls, with dating. This is an opportunity because then you can red pill them first about dating and women. And when they realize, oh, wow, now I have the red pill about this, it usually and often will lead to other red pills. Suddenly their mind becomes more open. They realize, oh, I was brainwashed about that and unhappy. What else was I brainwashed about? I've seen this happen many times. Lots of people online where they start to be red pilled through dating and relationships, and it leads them to politics, money, education, and everything else. So young men, teach them red pill. Rational Male. Rational Male is probably the best place to start. There are 3 books. He has a website also. The Rational Male. M-A-L-E. The Rational Male. Because it will wake you up. It was one of my red pills. It was one of my big red pills. I probably was more red pilled about money first and freedom and work. And then later I got red pilled about women and dating and relationships and marriage. And, and then on and on. So that's a big one, though, because it's a good one because it's a good point of pain. because so many young men are so frustrated. They're doing what they're being told to do, what they've been taught they're supposed to do, and they get terrible results. They get treated badly. They don't get respected. They get cheated on, all these things. So that's a good point. When they're emotional pain, that means they want the red pill. Sharif says, computers are the drugs of our world, especially if you lose control while using them. Yep, they are one of the drugs. Okay, a couple more, and I've got to go. The idea of red pills and blue pills is only 20 years old, asked Vladislav. The slang is 20 years old. I mean, the idea is very old, but yes. This slang, red pill, blue pill, is 20 years old. It comes from the movie The Matrix. Yes. Okay, we're going to do this with the last one, and then time to go. Unfortunately, today the school system is not educating. It's also trying to keep children from being curious. That's right. They try to stop curiosity. There are no classes on how to learn, how to think for yourself, how to be creative, how to solve problems. Exactly. The education system does not educate. Quite the opposite. All right. So that was great. Chapter 6. The story will move forward quite quickly now. We're now right into the story. So the reservation, and what happens on the reservation, and the couple people they meet on the reservation are really going to be the main points now for the rest of the book. So we'll be back again next week for Chapter 7. Next week, A Brave New World. And tomorrow, Movie Club tomorrow, Part 2 of The Matrix. Take the red pill, Neo. Wake up to the truth. Take the blue pill. Go back to sleep. Which will he choose? We know which one he chooses. But we'll see it tomorrow. Very famous movie scene. The red pill and the blue pill with Morpheus and Neo will be live on twitch.tv tomorrow for our movie club. I will see you there. As always, if you want the recordings of the movie club lessons and to speak powerfully and effortlessly, join my VIP program at effortlessenglishclub.com. Join, commit, don't quit at effortlessenglishclub.com.